So first, we're going to start with M&M lien laws, which is Chapter 53 of the Texas Property Code. And I do have a note here that Texas is notorious for having the most complex M&M lien laws in the United States. And most of these we will go over, not too much in depth, but a nice overview that they mainly concern the notice. That's really the part that is so difficult to sort of keep up with, and hopefully by the time you guys leave here, and Brent also I've sent Brent this PowerPoint presentation so that he could distribute it, and I've got some good charts in here, so if you guys ever come up on a client or needing to file a lien, you kind of have a chart ready to be able to figure out what your deadlines are and what your notice deadlines are, which is really the more difficult part. So basically, the notices and the deadlines are all going to be dependent on whether the property is commercial or residential. So we've kind of got those two separate types of properties. That's outlined in mostly case law, and so there are there's some funny case law out there about what's considered residential. If one I like to mention in a lot of my presentations is how, and we have a lot of this in Houston at least, and I'm sure all over Texas, a new inventory, not an inventory home, but a home that's built as a model home for a home builder, that's actually going to be commercial. And there is a case directly on point on that. So it can sometimes be a little bit interesting to figure out, is this a commercial property? Is this a residential property? The other part that we have to look at is the role of the claimant in the project. What I mean by that, we're going to get into, but it's, are you the general contractor? Are you a subcontractor? Are you a sub of a sub? Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit with some of the statutes and then we are going to get to the more difficult stuff, which is the notice. But the first thing to know is who's entitled to a lien under Chapter 53, 101. It's any person who provides labor, materials, machinery, fixtures, or tools for the construction or repair of a house, a building, a levee, or embankment. So basically, this means most work that you would associate with a home or commercial building you are going to be entitled to a lien. Next, we're going to go over the deadlines, which for commercial properties, the lien has to be filed with the county clerk of the county in which the property is located, and that has to be not later than the 15th day of the 4th calendar month after the day on which the indebtedness accrues. This can sometimes get people in a little bit of trouble because it is not a lot of lien statutes in other jurisdictions, and even when we talk a little bit about Chapter 56 mineral liens, it's 6 months from last date of work, and this one is a little bit different. It's the 15th day of the 4th calendar month. The good part to know about the indebtedness accrues is that is going to be very similar. It's at the end of the work that your client has performed, and the 15th day of the 4th calendar month is basically showing that lien deadline is going to always be on the 15th of the month. So a lot of clerks that we are very familiar with are always very, very busy on the 15th day of any month, getting a lot of lien claims in that they have to file. So for residential property, it's the same, but it's just the 3rd calendar month. So we are moving it up just a little bit, which is obviously a little bit harder. You have less time, which makes sense because it's a residential property. It's for home, just regular people who have their homes, and we're going to give them a little bit less time. We're going to give the subcontractors and the general contractors a little less time than we would a more, I guess, a person who is more familiar with lien law, like an owner of a big commercial property. Next, we're going to talk about is the contents of the affidavit. You can see this is in Section 53054, and I've listed them. It's pretty much what you would think would need to be that it's an affidavit that has to be filed in the property records that has the amount of the claim, the name and the last known address of the owner, okay, which has to be looked up in the property records, or you can look it up in the appraisal district. You do have to make a statement of the kind of work that was done or the materials that were furnished. And then you do have to put the name and the last known address of the person by whom the claimant was employed. So obviously, if you are a subcontractor, you need to name the general contractor. You have to, the name and for number 4, that's for if you're a subcontractor working for another subcontractor. For the 5, it is the name of the original contractor. The 6th thing is a description, legally sufficient for identification of the property. And then the claimant's name and mailing address and physical address. And then for a claimant other than an original contractor, a statement identifying the date each notice of the claim was sent to the owner. And we're going to continue to talk about notice here in a minute.